Hey guys, this is HTOMario, and I'm going to be showing you, I seem to be doing this quite a bit, always forgetting to turn that down, but I'm going to be showing you a Terran against Zerg game. It was a pretty good game. I fast forwarded a little bit because, well, I wanted to skip a little bit past the intro, but the way this game plays out is that we get 10 supply depot, 12 barracks, 13 gas, 1 marine, another supply depot, and then a reactor. So what we're doing is we're scouting with our SCV, and we're just kind of looking around in space. At the same time, we have 1 marine, just in case there was a rush. We wanted to have 1 marine to be able to deter out Zerglings, like a 10 pool pressure. That seems to be kind of popular since Live did that against Flash during the finals. And then after the reactor goes down, we go for a factory. Now this allows us to pump out quite a bit of marines. We see a queen, normal amount of Zerglings, so that doesn't bother me. But we get quite a bit of marines, we got a factory on the way, and then normally after this we put down a command center, but here we're putting down a bunker first, which is a little strange. I don't actually remember these games. My internet's been down for a few days. Okay, now we're getting a command center, but my internet's been down for a few days. My modem broke and I had to replace it. So these games, I don't remember who wins or loses. Once again, it's a random ladder game, and we're just picking it so that we can, you know, maybe get a loss, get a win, give it a little bit more surprise, and you know, just a little bit more variety. So with the factory, we swap over the reactor, and we get 2 widow mines, we get a starport, and then we're getting a reactor on the barracks. The reactor on the barracks is right after we move over the barracks, then the starport, and then another gas while we're building the starport. This is a bit of a pressure build. I have a few of them, a few variations. One is with widow mine drops, another one is with Hellbat drops, then I go like, or Marine Hellion, Medevac, you know, there's a few things. I'm looking to see if there's a third base, and there is. So this SCV definitely proved to be useful. And then I scan his main to see if he's still mining gas, what's exactly going on there. I put the 2 widow mines a little bit apart from the bunker, and space them away from each other, but close to the bunker so that Zerglings can't trigger it. It takes a large clump of units to be able to trigger these widow mines, and then we put down 2 more. This makes us relatively safe, and then we're going to drop down an armory, where now we're going Marine Hellion, and we already have a few widow mines, and he's poking a little bit over here. I do see that, so he knows kind of what I'm going. Another supply depot. You gotta make sure that as mech you don't get supply blocked. I mean, as every race you don't get supply blocked, but mech it's really, really difficult because you get long build times and beefy units, and your defense is very critical on like 1 or 2 siege tanks. So as mech you should always make sure you try not to be supply blocked. It's something that every player struggles with, is, you know, perfect macro, but it's always a worthy something to work on. And now with the Hellion's about to finish in another medevac. I'm poking out a little bit. I wanted to see if there was something here, maybe like a Zergling run by waiting to happen. So I move out with these units. I'm just going to try to do some light pressure, and I'm using my supply depots to wall off so that there is no counter attack. I probably should have done this a little bit sooner. So I am playing risky with this, and I start my +1 upgrades. And here comes my medevac on the way. So we're trying to deny some creep. We're just really trying to see whatever we can to, you know, trade more efficiently. We did hurt one of his queens with these widow mines, and these widow mines make it much more difficult for him to fight me in mass. And here we try snipe one of the queens and just kind of maneuver ourselves. You know, the Hellion's behind the Marines. If we, you know, if there are Zerglings coming, and we're trying to take out this spore crawler, but he's got Zerglings on the way, so we just kind of gotta move. I do let this medevac accidentally die, and these widow mines do end up going down. Back at home, we've got our expansion. Our macro is slipping up a little bit, so see, like something I need to work on. I noticed that doing these videos has helped me a little bit in my improvement as well. We begin Hellbat production because we see a lot of Zerglings. We throw down a 3rd command center. Whoop. We throw down a 3rd command center and another 2 gas geysers. So what this does is the gas geysers, the 3rd commander allows our minerals to really boost up once we have that mule, and then we're going to have too many minerals. We're not going to have enough to spend for gas units, so we're going to get more gas geysers, 2 more factories, because we are going into mech as always. And now you want to start off kind of like wave yourself to either 3 or 4 factories, depending on how far along your economy is, how much harassment you're going to do, how many units you can support. So for example, if I was still producing a lot of units on top of this command center and the 2 gas, I would have probably waited a little bit longer to get these factories, maybe get just 1 factory, and then a little bit later throw down 2 more factories. And this allows me to keep producing units at a steady pace. So I'm cutting a little bit of a little bit of production supply by getting these 2 barracks right here, and I could cut it even a little bit more to get a 4th. I mean, these 2 factories. I could cut a little bit more to get a 4th factory. So it's kind of like missing around to get more production facilities to be able to even put out more production more units over the longer course of the game to try to build up these buildings. So there can be situations where that's good, some situations where it's bad, and I'm putting up missile turrets because it's about the time for mutalisks, and you can see he's building mutalisks. So definitely a good call, and I want to kill these rocks so I can take this expansion. And I do a Hellbat drop. I do want to pressure him, and I see the baneling, so I lift up, and you can see that he's got quite a bit of a worker lead. We haven't been able to kill too many, so definitely good on his part. He does end up clearing this out without taking too many losses, or any losses, so definitely good for him. The units loss is about even though. He's a little bit worse off. I've killed a lot of Zerglings, a few banelings, a queen or 2 here and there, and a mutalisk poking around here. We're beginning another 2 factories because we're going to take this 3rd gas, so we want to be at 6 production facilities, so 5 factories, 1 starport. And we've changed up how we play a little bit. We usually now have 1 reactor and then a lot of tech labs, so we can produce a lot of Thors or a lot of siege tanks, and then we just try to go for more factories and less reactors. So this is something I've been testing. So right now it's something you really do in TvT. So I've been really wanting to try it in Terran against Zerg as well. I think you'll see that a lot more from me. I do seem to be enjoying that. He does come up here, harass my mineral line a bit. Definitely annoying. While I clear out this base, put up some missile turrets. And there he goes. He's gone now. Or at least gone from that base. I'm trying to lure him away from here. Worker-wise, his harassment killed quite a few, so he's now 20 workers ahead of me. I don't feel too much pressure though, even though he's killed a lot. I do have 3 orbital commands, and I am securing this base, so this is a relatively easy base to secure. He does get a few Hellbat snipes for free here though, and that's really bad on my part, because these Hellbats would have been able to take out most, if not all, of these Zerglings. And then this push wouldn't have delayed me as much, so this is definitely something that was an error on my part, which he was able to exploit by attacking into it. So one of the popular things that Zergs do at high levels is they try to transition a lot. They open up roaches or Zerglings, they tech into like mutalisks, and then they tick switch back really fast into roaches and then back into mutalisks, and they try to find, if you don't make the perfect amount of siege tanks or defense or Thors, you will lose to one of the tech switches, and then they, while in the meantime they expand and try to transition in the late game. We're also doing a Hellbat drop over here, and that one ends up actually killing quite a few drones, so we're now 42 to 60. He's got about an 18 drone lead, and I've got 3 command centers, so that's 12 SCV. So he's got like 6 worker lead, and I've got another command center going on my base, and I really need to get these gases. I've had the production facilities for so long, but I don't have the resources to use them. I tried to do a Thor drop over here, but he still had some mutalisks out on the field, and he was able to deny the Thor from being able to harass him. I thought that he was out of mutalisks, so that was definitely a free win for him there. And units lost tab, I have now lost more than the Zerg, and he's got a higher economy. He's grabbing his 4th base, which is not the worst thing for me. I am definitely not worried about him having a 4th base. It's him having a 5 bases that really becomes scary over my 3. Sending another 2 Hellbat drops out, so I'm constantly harassing him. I'm trying to send these guys over here, but he does spot them, and he, attacks them, of course. We got another command center going down. We got another starport going down because I'll be going ahead and grabbing this really soon. 2 more tech labs, as I mentioned. We're starting on our armor upgrades, so we already have +3 attack. So we're getting one upgrade at a time at the moment. It's also one thing that I go back and forth on which I like to do, 2 at a time or 1 at a time. I think they're both good. One of them allows more units. The other one allows for more beefier units. It's kind of a preference. And it's also, if you go for double upgrades and you don't have enough units, you're gonna get steamrolled over if he Natus plays you, Natus Worm, or if he exploits you. You're defending the same amount of units, that would normally attack you with less units, and that can be really difficult to do, especially in a map like this where there's so much open air for mutalisks for drops, and there's a lot of space to defend from Natus Worms. I mean, it's a pretty tight-knit map, choke-wise, but then drops make it really difficult because he can come up here with his overlords and drop over here or over here and really exploit you, and dropping on top of the units is really popular as well, to take out a mech army, which is why you want a lot of split-up units for one, and then you want some beefy Thors running around trying to snipe things, maybe a few Vikings to take down overlords, or Hellbats in between, so if he drops them right on top of Hellbats. Some more dropships going out, constantly trying to harass him. My +1 armor is done. I should be starting my +2 any second, and from what we can see at his base, we know, okay, he's got 4 bases. What can I do? Well, I need to secure my 4th base, so I've got my gas guys over here going, and I'm going to be moving this base over because I want to make it a planetary fortress. And we're producing a lot of Thors, because we scouted the Ultralisk cavern, so we know that he's already on Hive Tech and that he's most likely producing Ultralisks, so we really want to, and there's a confirmation, so we really want to get Thors because they're pretty cost efficient against Ultralisks unless they're clumped up and Blinding Cloud is included. So with Thors now against Ultralisks, I've been mixing in just a few Hellbats to kill Zerglings, which is why I go for the +3, because +3 Hellbats will always one-shot Zerglings, so they're really effective. And then I get Widow Mines to help take out the Ultralisks and any supporting unit like, Mutalisks, Roaches, things that Blinding Cloud would help prevent. So now I'm establishing this base. He's on 5 bases to my 4, which is fun. And he attacks into here, so if we look at units lost, I'm a little bit behind, but I'm target firing his infestors, which is why they're all dying. And that just skyrockets the units lost tab straight to my favor. He was able to develop quite a bank though, so this battle went greatly in my favor because he attacked, and I was able to really target fire his most beneficial units. He lost a lot, but because he had such a large bank, he can immediately remax, or close to remax, on like 8 Thors and then 46 Zerglings. So one of the things I should do here is I lost all my Hellbats, and I'm not producing anymore. I'm not producing anything right now, so that's something I also got to work on, is remember to produce units at the proper times. And I'm making Widow Mines, but I really should have realized, okay, I don't have any Hellbats. I got to throw in like 3 Hellbats or 4 Hellbats just in case. So that's definitely something that I'm making a mistake on right now. I'm getting a radar tower, so I can see any attack coming up sooner, so he can position himself, you know. That gives us more warning. We're getting 2 command centers, so we can like get double mules, or we can move them over here and secure the base with 2 command centers. And he's getting Infestor, he's getting Viper, and he's getting Ultralisk Zergling, so I really need to get Hellbats. And this push out right here is a mistake. I know that most likely the Zerg had a bank and he remaxed, but I was testing this. Okay, so sometimes I'll do something randomly in a game just so I can push it, see if I can, you know, exploit something that I'm unaware of. As an example, he just lost his army, and I'm not 100% sure how long it would take him to rebuild that. The problem here is that it already is rebuilt. So I move out with half my forces because, you know, well, not half my forces, but not all my forces, because we have 4 Thors about to pop out just here, and that's a lot of supply. Not with my army. We're also missing a few Hellbats, so there are a lot of Zerglings that are going to be useful. If we had like 3 or 4 Hellbats, you know, these Zerglings would be almost completely useless. Almost. They're still useful, but not quite as much as they would be. Not quite as little as they would be with a few Hellbats. So we do deny the space, and he sends some Zerglings over here, but we have a planetary fortress, and then he comes up here with Zerglings. They actually managed to take out a tank or 2. So once again, you know, we had a few Hellbats. This wouldn't be nearly as a problem. Our Thors would be firing at the Ultralisks. And our Widow Mines are here to take down the Ultras, but look, we would have been able to kill 2 or 3 more Ultralisks if we had a few Hellbats, because the Thors would be attacking the Ultralisks. So with that knowledge, okay, there are 6 Thors here. 4 of them are almost dead. We would have actually probably ended up winning this fight if not only we waited for our army, but we mixed in a few Hellbats. So this is definitely a mistake you should not make. You know, learn from my mistakes. Is that if he has Zerglings, or just in general, always keep 1 to 4 Hellbats in your army. Widow Mines are really good, but always keep 1 to 4 Hellbats in your army. It's definitely a good thing to do, unless you are like slow pushing in the mid game, but still Hellbat's pretty good. I drop auto turrets here to try to take out this hatchery, just put some pressure on it over there, and then I can reposition these Widow Mines on top of these Infestors. I do realize here that I forgot Burrow, but we do get 3 Infestors, so that's a lot of gas. And once again, you know, this is something I've now learned from this game, is that yes, I can go Thor Widow Mine to counter Ultralisk, but I really need to throw in some Hellbats over here. And he's throwing in Balings, and I didn't get Widow Mine Burrow for quite some time either, so that's also a mistake. But we are getting this base over here, so I don't know. I think I canceled a command center over here, which makes this defense a little bit weaker. And we can't land over here because he's got a Zergling. Now if you look at the banks, the game is kind of even. He's growing a bigger bank than I am, and I'm not maxed yet. I am throwing in some siege tanks, which is definitely not a bad thing. And I'm now throwing in some Hellbats too, but I'm not maxed out yet. I got this watchtower over here to watch for him, and I'm in an okay position. I needed to split up a little bit more. I have a few Vikings that are kind of useless dead supply. Against everything except for Vipers. So my notice over here has got no anti-air, so I needed to send my Vikings in. And I do. And I burrow my Widow Mines, and I lift up my Widow Mines because he tried to send a few Zerglings in to pop them. And then here are the Blinding Cloud. And one of the problems here was I was not maxed out. I lost a lot of units. I believe I'm able to defend this, or no? Let's see. No, I don't think I'm able to defend this one quite as well. So there's a few units left over here. One, I didn't have enough to stop his army because of the previous battles where I made a few mistakes. I lost a battle I shouldn't have, and if I had some more units, this army would have been crushed. You know, from this army would have been crushed because he wouldn't have been able to attack any other because I would have been maxed out. And now I'm trying to get Banshee Hellbat Thor to stop this. But it's spiraling a little bit out of control because now he's kind of close to my production facilities. He can attack this base, he can attack this base, he can attack quite a few bases. So I do have a planetary fortress here, but his ultras already passed it. This base was forced to lift. Now he's sending some ultralists to take out this base. I should have used the planetary fortress instead of to snipe down the ultra, to snipe down the zerglings, because I can repair past the ultralisks, but it's the zerglings extra DPS that actually allowed him to kill it. So that's another thing I learned from this game, is to use the planetary fortress to first knock down the zerglings, then the ultralisks, because I can out-heal 4 ultralisks. Now over here, I made another mistake. I didn't want to lose these guys, the minerals, but they were actually slowing down his push into here, and I ended up canceling him out of fear that I would lose the minerals. I knew I was probably going to lose this, but I could have stalled a little bit longer. And now back at the base, I lowered this. I've regained this one. This base is gone. This base is gone. And I'm trying to retreat because that is way more ultras than I'm able to handle with these few Thors. Because I was trying to get there before the planetary finished. I tried to lift a Thor to move away with the medevac, but he did end up sniping that and attacking over here. You know, I move onto the ramp so you can only attack 1 Thor at a time, which is great for me. But if you look at the game, you know, he's definitely got a lot more resources than I do. And a much higher supply. So at this stage I'm being quite overrun, and there isn't much anything else I could do. So I do lose this game, but I wanted to explain to you guys why I lost, what specifically I could have done better, how you could improve from my loss. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I do try to throw in losses here and there. I try not to tell you when I have them. I forgot I lost this one actually until I loaded it up, but I remember this as being a good game, and I will try to show you good games and any learning opportunities, you know, where you can go, oh hey, you know, what was he thinking, how can I improve, you know. He doesn't show us quite losing as often. Oh, I accidentally killed a Thor there. He doesn't quite show us losing, so you know, I don't see him respond to this situation and how he recovers from it, but in this case I don't recover from it, from the deficit. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that, I'll try to do another drop here. I hope that you enjoyed this game, and I'll definitely be trying to do some more. That was pretty over. I mean, I won the battle, but I lost, so if I actually ended up not making a few of those mistakes, I could have most likely won this game. But yeah, that's the end of that. We're just kind of waiting for me to die. GG.